Is she to be buried in Christian burial, when she willfully seeks her own salvation?
I tell thee she is. Therefore, make her grave straight. The crowner hath stayed on her, and finds a Christian burial.
How can that be, unless she drowned herself in her own defense?
Why, 'tis found so.
It must be se offendendo. It cannot be else, for here lies the point. If I drown myself wittingly, it argues an act, and an act hath three branches. It is to act, to do, to perform. Argo, she drowned herself wittingly.
Nay, but hear you, good man Delver.
Give me leave. Here lies the water. Good. Here stands the man. Good. If the man go to this water and drown himself, it is willy-nilly. He goes, mark you that. But if the water come to him and drown him, he drowns not himself. Argo, he that is not guilty of his own death shortens not his own life.
But is this law?
Aye, marry, is it? Crowner's quest law.
Will you have the truth on? If this had not been a gentlewoman, she should have been buried out of Christian burial.
Why there thou sayest, and the more pity the great folk should have countenance. In this world to drown or to hang themselves, more than they're even Christian. Come my spade, there is no ancient gentleman but gardeners, ditchers, and grave-makers. They hold up Adam's profession.
Was he a gentleman?
Ah, was the first that he ever bore arms.
Why, he had none.
What, art a heathen? How dost thou understand the Scripture? The Scripture says Adam digged. Could he dig without arms? I'll put another question to thee. If thou answerest me not to the purpose, confess thyself.
Go to.
What is he that builds stronger than either the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter?
The gallows maker, for that frame outlives 1,000 tenants.
I like thy wit well, in good faith. The gallows does well. But how does it well? It does well to those that do ill. Now thou'st ill to say the gallows is built stronger than the church. Argo, the gallows may do well to thee. To it again come.
Who builds stronger than a mason, a shipwright, or a carpenter?
Aye, tell me that an unyoke.
Marry, now I can tell.
To it?
Mass, I cannot tell.
Cudgel thy brains no more about it, for your dull ass will not mend his pace with beating. And when you are asked the question next, say, a grave maker. The houses he makes last till doomsday. Go get thee in, and fetch me a stoop of liquor. In youth when I did love, methought it was very sweet to contract, the time for my behove. Methought there was a nothing, meet.
Has this fellow no feeling of his business? Ace sings in grave-making.
Custom hath made it in him a property of easiness.
'Tis e'en so. The hand of little employment hath the daintier sense.
But age with his stealing steps hath clawed me in his clutch, and hath shipped me into the land as if I'd never been such.
That skull had a tongue in it, and could sing once. How the knave jowled it to the ground, as 'twere Cain's jawbone, that did the first murder. This might be the pate of a politician, which this ass now overreaches. One that would circumvent God, might it not?
It might, my lord.
Or of a courtier, which could say, Good morrow, sweet lord, how dost thou, sweet lord? This might be my lord, such a one, that praised my lord such a one's horse, when it went to beg it, might it not?
Aye, my lord.
Why, e'en so, and now my lady worms chapless, and knocked about the mazzard with a sexton's spade. Here's fine revolution, and we had the trick to see it. Did these bones cost no more the breeding, but to play at loggets with them? Mine ache to think on't.
A pickaxe and a spade for a and a shrilling sheet. A pit of clay for to be made, for such a guest is meet.
There's another. Why may not that be the skull of a lawyer, where be his quiddities, now his quilities, his cases, his tenures, and his tricks? Why did ye suffer this mad knave now to knock him about the sconce with a dirty shovel, and will not tell him of his action of battery? This fellow might be in his time a great buyer of land, with his statutes, his recognizances, his fines, and his double vouchers, his recoveries. Is this the fine of his fines, and the recovery of his recoveries, to have his fine pate full of fine dirt? Will his vouchers vouch him no more of his purchases, and double ones too, than the length and breadth of a pair of indentures? The very conveyances of his lands will scarcely lie in this box, and must there the inheritor himself have no more? Ha!
Not a jot more, my lord.
Is not parchment made of sheepskins?
Aye, my lord, and of calfskins too.
They are sheep and calves which seek out assurance in that. I will speak to this fellow. Whose grave is this, sirrah?
Mine, sir. A pit of clay for to be made, for such a guest is meet.
I think it be thine indeed, for thou liest in it.
You lie on it, sir, and therefore 'tis not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it, yet it is mine.
Thou dost lie in it. To be in it and say it is thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick, therefore thou liest.
'Tis a quick lie, sir. 'Twill away again from me to you.
What man dost thou dig it for?
For no man, sir.
What woman, then?
For none neither.
Who is to be buried in it?
One that was a woman, sir. But rest her soul, she's dead.
How absolute the knave is! We must speak by the card, or equivocation will undo us. By the Lord, Horatio, this 3 years I have took note of it. The age is grown so picked that the toe of the peasant comes so near the heel of the courtier he galls his kibe. How long hast thou been the grave-maker?
Of all that days this year, I came to it that day our last King Hamlet overcame Fortinbras.
How long is that since?
Cannot you tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was that very day that young Hamlet was born, he that is mad and sent into England.
Ay, marry, why was he sent into England?
Why? Because, was mad. A shall recover his wits there, or, if a do not, 'tis not great matter there.
Why?
'Twill not be seen in him there. There the men are as mad as he.
How came he mad?
Very strangely, they say.
How strangely?
Faith, that even with his losing wits.
Upon what ground?
Why, here in Denmark. I have been sexton here, man and boy, 30 years.
How long will a man lie in the earth ere he rot?
Faith, if be not rotten before a die, as we have many pocky courses nowadays that will scarce hold the laying in. A will last you some 8 year, or 9 year. A tanner will last you 9 year.
Why he more than another?
Why, sir, his hide is so tanned with his trade that it will keep out water a great while, and your water is a sore, decayer of your whoreson dead body. Here's a skull now, hath been lying, you, if it earth 23 years.
Whose was it?
A whoreson mad fellow's it was. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, I know not.
A pestilence on him for a mad rogue. A poured flagon of Rhenish on my head once. The same skull, sir, was Sir York's skull, the king's jester.
This?
Even that.
Let me see. Alas, poor York! I knew him, Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now how abhorred in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Here hung those lips that I have kissed I know not oft. Where be your jibes now? Your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roar. Not one now to mock your own grinning? Quite chapfallen? Now get you to my lady's chamber, and tell her, let her paint an inch thick, to this favour she must come. Make her laugh at that. Prithee, Horatio, tell me one thing.
What's that, my lord?
Dost thou think Alexander looked on this fashion in the earth?
Even so.
And smelt so? Pah!
Even so, my lord.
To what base uses we may return, Horatio? Why may not imagination trace the noble dust of Alexander till it find it stopping a bunghole?
'Twas to consider too curiously, to consider so.
No, faith, not a jot, but to follow him thither with modesty enough, and likelihood to lead it. As thus, Alexander died, Alexander was buried, Alexander returneth to dust. The dust is earth, of earth we make loam. And why of that loam whereto he was converted might they not stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. Oh, that earth which kept the world in awe should patch a wall to expel the winter's flaw. But soft a while, here comes the king, the queen, the courtiers. Who is this they follow, and with such maimed rites? This doth betoken the corpse they followed did with desperate hand fordo it own life. 'Twas of some estate, couch we a while, and mark.
What ceremony else?
That is Laertes, a very noble youth, mark.
What ceremony else?
Her obsequies have been as far and large as we have warranty. Her death was doubtful, and but that great command o'ersways the order. She should in ground unsanctified been lodged till the last trumpet. For charitable prayers, shards, flints, and pebbles should be thrown on her. Yet here she is allowed her virgin krantz, her maiden struments, and the bringing home of bell and burial.
Must there no more be done?
No more be done. We should profane the service of the dead to sing a requiem and such rest to her as to peace-parted souls.
Lay her in the earth, and from her fair and unpolluted flesh may violets spring. I tell thee, churlish priest, a ministering angel shall be my sister, where thou liest howling.
What, the fair Ophelia?
Sweet's the sweet. Farewell. I hope thou shouldst have been my Hamlet's wife. I thought thy bride bed to have decked, sweet maid, and not have strewed thy grave.
O treble woe, fall 10 times treble on that cursed head, whose wicked deed thy most ingenious sense deprived thee of. Hold off the earth awhile, till I have caught her once more in my arms. Now pile your dust upon the quick and dead, till of this flat a mountain you have made, to overtop old Pelion, or the skyish head of blue Olympus.
What is he whose